Hey gamers, it is me, ya boy, Fafnir, coming at you live with another man's. This one's a man's. Last one was a girl's, but this one's is a man's. I'm talking about Dr. Ratio today. I don't know what to fucking call this series still, but yeah, gonna go over his lore, his character design, and his kit because I feel like the kit can tell you a lot about the character. And I'm just gonna warn you ahead of time, like I really, really do not like Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio like makes me irrationally upset and how much I don't like him because I feel like I should. Like I love assholes. I love egotistical assholes. I love funny assholes. I love every brand of dickweed. But I'll just be totally honest. I just kind of draw the line at teacher. Well, not the line at teacher. Teachers can be assholes. I'm totally good with any teacher being an asshole, but it's the form of asshole that Ratio is that is a problem for me. Like, am I too? Let me. Oh, this game's too loud. I'm glad that I looked over before I spent the whole time recording this shit. I'm gonna re-recorded this video like 8 times because, like, my ire, I'm having a really hard time communicating it clearly. I think that's still too loud. I'm gonna put this down as much as humanly possible. I will admit that it's like a little bit biases on my part. Biases, you know what I mean. I've been the son of a teacher that has been teaching for over 20 years, so I am very passionate about education and, you know, the definition of what I would consider a bad teacher. So, like, when you fail a class in, like, high school or middle school or anything, there are 3 possible reasons, and only 3 possible reasons, in my opinion, that you failed that course. And all of them are completely out of the student's control. So the first one is that you just didn't have the mental capacity. Like, either, like, whether you had, like, mental illness problems, or, like, just too much going on in your life, or, like, any of that kind of stuff, then that is a completely valid and possible reasons that you failed that course that was 100% out of your control. The second reason, is that the teacher just did not teach the material very well. Like, if they, like, spoke in, like, moon runes, or used terms that were too far ahead of what your actual skill level was at the time of them teaching it, like, things like that, are also completely valid and justified reasons that you failed the course that are out of your control. And the third reason is the teacher having unrealistically high expectations. Like, if the teacher is like, yeah, I want you to get, like, 20 pages done over the course of a weekend, with no warning, aside from, like, well, it was in the syllabus, like, oh, fucking, but we haven't gotten to that point in the syllabus yet. I didn't expect it to be, like, this quick, like, fuck. That kind of shit. That shit makes me so, like, irrationally upset. And Dr. Ratio is, like, in case I swear I'm a good employee. I don't know if you heard that, but I swear I'm a good employee. Ratio fits the bill for both of those, like, teacher-related reasons. Like, the teacher not being a good teacher. Like, he's objectively a fucking god-awful teacher because 0 points. That's what I fucking thought. He will, like, fail students without, like, trying to figure out why, because, like, him getting, like, students getting a 0 is considered a good thing in his courses because he's that particular and that bad at teaching and that refusing to, like, accommodate and figure out, like, okay, so why didn't you learn the material? Because that's what makes a really good teacher, is, like, I'm acknowledging that my class or this student is not picking up on things. I should take the time to reach out and ask them, hey, what's going on? It's not necessarily, that's one little thing that is not necessarily a bad teacher thing, for a teacher to be able to recognize, like, this student is struggling, but I don't want to reach out. I want them to reach out to me. I understand that, and I do not think that that is a bad teacherism, TM. But, like, that to me, that separates the goods from the greats. Like, any teacher that's willing to acknowledge that their students are not, like, a specific student is not really picking up on things and taking their time to reach out and say, hey, can you come with me after class? Like, is there any time that you have available for me to, like, go over this material with you? I want to figure out what's going on, X, Y, and Z. Like, that's what makes that's the difference between a fantastic teacher and one that's a good teacher to me. Not that those things really matter. Like, again, that's like one thing that's a little bit more head in the clouds. I have been very fortunate with some of the teachers that I've had in my life, because some of them were willing to do that because, they gave a shit and wanted me to learn things. Yeah, that's my main problem with Ratio, is that he's a teacher, but he's a teacher for the sake of his own ego, not a teacher because, like, he actually wants to teach the masses things. He's just, like, trying to prove a point by him being a teacher. Or, like, arguably it could be a sense of, like, he has these expectations that have been thrust on him because everyone's like, oh, you're so smart. Oh, you know everything. He has, like, 8 million degrees. Like, don't waste any of them. Like, that would be probably part of the reason why he feels the need to do that. It's part of the reason why he, like, has this very obvious inferiority complex, like, with the Intelligentsia Guild. He's, like, supposed to be, like, this huge genius, and he wants to be a part of the Genius Society, and the Eon that sort of, like, chooses the people in the Genius Society, excuse me, won't let him in. Like, they just won't invite him. He's like, I'm supposed to be smart, so, like, what the fuck is going on? So he's developed a really huge inferiority complex because of that. Yeah, the Genius Society wouldn't invite him, and he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be so smart, so, like, why won't they let me in? And, well, the reason why is because, honestly, in my opinion, with the way that he acts and the way that he speaks, is, like, kind of Schrodinger's smart person. Like, it's kind of like, I get why you talk that way, but it makes you look like an idiot, if that makes sense. How I would consider a smart character should be written, in my experience with, like, smart characters and other smart people, is that, like, you either write them, like, kind of quirky and kind of silly, or you just, like, make them talk like a person, because a smart person doesn't really feel the need to prove that they're smart, doesn't have the time to really, like, go out of their way to be like, hey, let me speak in these really complex speech patterns and, like, try to get X, Y, and Z, like, just to prove to you how smart I am. Smart people don't do that, and that's why the Big Bang Theory fucking sucks, because everyone's supposed to be smart, but everyone speaks in fucking moon runes. It's bad. And I have that same problem with Ratio. It's just that he talks in such a complex way that no one can understand what he's saying. And it's just kind of, it's like, again, it's like a Schrodinger's cat kind of thing, where it's like, I get where he's coming from, and it's a very, like, reasonable thing to do with his character because of the inferiority complex and because of the fact that he feels he needs to prove himself. But that doesn't make it any less fucking grating for me. I think Ratio is genuinely a very interesting character, and the fact that I don't like him, like, it makes me mad more at myself and the situation. He's a really cool character. I do think he's really compelling. I just wish that he wasn't written to be such an annoying asshole in, like, a negative way. Because you can be an annoying asshole in kind of a fun way. And honestly, Dr. Ratio does kind of teeter that line pretty closely, because, like, he's really funny. Like, oh my god, he's hysterical. If he shit talks in, like, the most, like, it's not like, ooh, you got him, but, like, oh my god, like, why the fuck would you say that in the most, like, funny levels of disbelief? It's like, I could... He should be a drag queen just so he can do, like, reading shit. Like, I want him to go to the library so fucking bad. Because, god, he'd win. He'd be so good at it. That's what he should be doing. Don't waste his time with being a fucking smart bitch. He should just go on RuPaul's Drag Race. He'd thrive there. But, like, in addition to the fact that he, like, speaks in such complex speech patterns and, like, uses words that no human being would ever understand... Like, in addition to that, like, there's just, like, some things about his actions, in my opinion, that just do not spell that out very well. Like, smart people are also extremely curious. Like, you can easily, like, if you're not a smart person, a high-key hot tip to writing a smart person, make them smart, make them smart about something that you're already really smart about. Or B, make that person want to know things, because the key to being smart is the pursuit of knowledge and the desire to pick more things up. And Ratio just doesn't have that. Like, he's supposed to mainly be, in case it wasn't obvious with its particle effects, he's mainly like a mathematician kind of character. But I don't really... Hold on, let me get some more... I didn't realize I had enough for more tickets. Give me some more Neo points. Wait, actually, before I do this, do I have enough for... I was originally trying to save up for Aventuring's trace materials, but I'm kind of like, I have plenty of time. But yeah, so the pursuit of like curiosity and the desire to learn is a very key part of making a smart character to me. Like, yeah, it's okay to be egotistical and be like, I know everything, but if you have like a specialty and like a field that you like are very passionate about, and like, I don't think he would get those 8 million degrees just to prove a point. Like, he has to have a genuine love of mathematics, or else he wouldn't like go out of his way to be a teacher either, unless it was like 100% full ego with all that too, like the huge ego death of Dr. Ratio or whatever. It's reasonable, but like, it's just annoying. Like, with Aventuring, and I'm just trying to talk about I'm fucking getting lost in my own goddamn twisted mind, XD. But the thing that I wanted to make about it, with math being a specialty, is that if there is any fucking character that he should be expressing any level of, like, fervor outside of, like, him just, like, genuinely caring about him because he's his friend and shit, but, like, Aventuring is a statistical anomaly. Like, him being as lucky as he is, and him supposed to be fucking Dr. Ratio and being curious about mathematics, I would assume he would be like, okay, so what the fuck happened? How did you get this way? I mean, I know Aventuring can be, like, kind of candid about, like, him being an Avgin and, like, his past and shit, but, like, the goddess that gave him that look, Gaiathra Triclops, is a goddess. He's not like an Eon, or she's not an Eon. And Eons are supposed to be real, and gods are supposed to be more subjective. So I feel like he should have like more curiosity about that, right? Like he should be like, aha, you have this god protecting you, but which should be bullshit, but you still have all this luck around you. Like that's interesting. That's something that any mathematician would look at and be like, okay, what's going on here? But he doesn't have that level of curiosity, which really fucking bothers me. Like, ugh, it's just like, he contradicts what his character is supposed to represent in so many ways that it just annoys me. Again, it makes me mad because he's like objectively a really cool character, and there's a lot of things to like about Ratio. I just have brain damage. Okay, so design, just the aesthetic design. I fucking hate his design. I could say the same thing about like roughly 80% of all Honkai Star Rail designs. I think most of them, at least most of the 5 stars, are really bad. I think the 4 stars tend to be a lot better because they have less to work with. Like they don't want to get all the bells and whistles. So they have to be a lot more thoughtful about the way that they design their 4 stars, but their 5 stars, they can just do whatever the fuck they want. And also, I think he was in like 1.5 or something like that. And like the earlier designs are like easily the worst by like a mile. But yeah, I think his design fucking sucks. The titty window, I can't complain about a titty window. I'm sorry. I can't complain about a man's titty window. That feels, wrong. But there's like a lot of element. I feel like I should just, let's finish this fucking, I'll wing it. I don't want to fucking give myself 87 million yards of, footage. So I get what they're going for. Like, again, going into the like ratios and like mathematics stuff, that was a huge thing with like Roman and Greek things. Success. Thanks. As I was saying, the Roman/Greek aesthetic, I totally get what they're going with the toga and everything. And it makes sense because of the whole, like, they were huge pioneers of mathematics in general. Totally get where that's coming from. I also get where they add, like, the pants that are, like, honestly, well, the pants and the belt specifically are very, like, Victorian-era Britain inspired. Like, those are the things I immediately associate with those. When we're already going historical, then I'm going to obviously associate with more history. But those aesthetics are just so contradictory with each other because, you know, like, the flowy shape of, like, a toga versus the hard, tailored lines of, like, a Victorian-era design are so, like, they just don't fit together at all. And it's just an eyesore. Like, it's just bad. And, like, I'm gonna say this about literally every character where you can see their toes, but, like, why are his dogs out? I feel like he is way too up his own ass to give people free feet pics. There's just too many conflicting, like, it's like a fusion cuisine for two countries that should have never even met. Like, that's just really how it feels to me. Like, there are elements of this that make sense for his character, and they're like good ideas, they're just not executed very well. I think that if they ditched the belts on the Victorian era aesthetics and just leaned fully into the Roman and Greek vibe, then beautiful design. But the fact that they just felt the need to like add this extra bullshit, like this stupid ass thing that Hoyoverse, well, I don't know about the other games, but like specifically Honkai Star Rail tends to do with like the harsh divide between the white and the dark color. You can't see my fucking you can't see my cursor, but you see it. You're smart. You get what I mean. Yeah, I don't really... I am so distracted by how much I dislike his design, I cannot tell you how much he communicates about his character aside from the mathematic vibes or like the Roman aesthetics and everything. Yeah, that's all I can give you. Okay, yeah. Now let's go over his kit. I really... So, I might be a game designer, but I'm also a little stupid. And his kit is like... Some kits in Honkai are like very complex. Chinch's is like very simple, which is the first one that I did. Fei Xiao's I don't even completely understand. And I've been using her like I don't have a team without her anymore because she's so fucking strong, but I still don't understand her kit. But anyways, his kit, I really don't like it because it makes my brain feel small. But I think that's the whole point. He's not on my team, so in my defense, I don't play him very much. Okay, so, like, his skill is that there's a chance that he could be, like, doing another attack on top of it. Like, if you see these ratios over here, it's the chance of him firing off another attack between those moves. Now that I remembered how to read, it's actually pretty simple. Team's jump scares me every single time. And I believe every time a debuff is planted on them, it increases the chances. I'm like live trying to like, normally it's like, okay, yeah, I can immediately know what this character is about, but because I don't play him, it's kind of hard to tell. I keep getting distracted. Everyone's making fun of me for having the fucking aventurine alarm, and they should be, honestly. That's really funny. I would actually say that his kit doesn't actually tell much about his character, because his character is so ego-driven, and, like, the opposite of that would be having to rely on other people in order to make openings for himself. And, like, rely on other people to make debuffs and, like, X, Y, and Z. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It just kind of contradicts his character and how I see him, to be perfectly honest. Maybe it's because of the infuriating complex kind of getting in the way. Who fucking knows? The fact that it's like definitely more around like the particle effects than it is about like his character actually plays when it comes to talking about like the mathematics kind of like communicates the ego a lot as well. I would also argue that the names of the abilities themselves really feed into that too, because I feel like a lot of the time when it comes to the move names, it's like pretty cut and dry. Like Fei Xiao, War Axe, she's using her War Axe to do a big hit. Bolt Sunder, she's using like her blunderbuss ass thing. Like her shit makes perfect sense for what it's called. Dash in, gash out, that's exactly what he does with that. Okay, it's not a perfect rule of thumb. Corkage fee is kind of meaningless, but Special Brew makes sense. But like nothing for his says fucking shit about who he is. None of his skill names say fucking shit about what they actually do, I should be saying. Let me... Excuse me, what is this? I think, therefore I am. With his talent. That's really funny. It's really funny how that fucking is totally goddamn meaningless. And syllogistic paradox. An instance of form of reasoning in which a conclusion is drawn from two given or assumed propositions, each of which shares a term with a conclusion and shares a common mold. I feel really... He makes me feel so he makes me feel so goddamn stupid. Which is really the point, I'd say. That works hilariously enough. But yeah, okay. I think I've actually covered everything that I wanted to talk about with him. Even though the fucking way that he plays is a little bit incoherent in terms of his who he is. But yeah, smell you later, XD.